Three, two, one. All right, we should be live. I'll let you take it away, Keith.
Hello. Good evening,
Hello.
everybody, or happy lunchtime. We are the Beerumverate. I'm trying to get up my notes because I went and tried to look at Twitter before just doing that, so well done me. Ruining the intro again. Who we are? We are the trifecta, one of whom isn't here because he's too busy, I don't know, doing stuff in Japan for Golden Week. I know that apparently they've got a new emperor or something. That's a big deal.
It's the end of the Heisei era.
Yeah. And it's the end of the hearsay era.
Heisei. That's what
Heisei.
Oh,
I asked
yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah.
I asked him how to pronounce it. He's like, it's Heisei. I'm like, okay.
Okay. But it's his son, so what does that mean then?
What do you mean?
Because he's abdicated to his son. So wouldn't it also be the Heisei era?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Evan's going to be on next week. He'll clear all this up. Right. So we are a few people who get together to talk about beer and video games. Please like and subscribe, because if we can monetize this shit, Matt can get a new PC.
Indeed.
We've diversified ourselves. We're getting more guests on, which is really good to get more conversation going. Today we have live from not the Manchester Arena, the man who produced the logo for the new Sifted t-shirts, the first person on here who's actually talented at something, Mr. Michael. How are you?
Hi there. I'm doing great.
I hear you
really
like
nice to
fruit
meet you.
beers, so in which case, goodbye. Let's just kick you off the call now.
Okay.
But no,
Bye-bye.
really,
It's been great having
really
you on.
pleased, yeah, really pleased to have you on. You've come up with a really interesting topic, so much so that I actually kicked off the second topic that we might talk about, so we can spend more time talking to you, about that.
Lucky me. Yeah.
Tell us a bit about yourself, what you do.
So I'm basically a proud Sifted member, first and foremost. I'm an illustrator. I like to do pop culture illustrators or whatever. Yeah, I'm ready to participate in this.
Right, and you have a very cool fiance who got you a very cool gaming related T-shirt. If you just show everyone.
Yeah, it's an adaptation of
Nice.
of the GTA 5 cover, but with Mario, Super Mario Brothers characters, which is pretty much a really unique illustration. I tried to look up the artist who's done that, but I couldn't find him. So yeah, usually it's a genuine T-shirt, because usually I've noticed that some artists make illustrations and then they are randomly placed on T-shirts, and artists in general can't really do anything about that, because, for instance, most of these things happen in Asia, so there are other rules. So even if you had the money for lawyers, you can't do anything about it. But this was from Redbubble, and that's how I know it's genuine. I couldn't find the artist, but I don't know. Yeah, but he did a pretty great job.
Cool. Right, I'll get through the disclaimer and then we'll get into it. We're not here to promote drinking. Please drink responsibly. Any beers or breweries we may mention, do not take as a recommendation, because you might like something else. I'm inflicting something on myself today after everyone else, including Michael, saying that he likes fruit beers. I'm going to try a blood orange beer. I saw it, I like the can art, and it's from my favourite brewery at the moment, so I thought I'd give it a go. I may hate it. Yippee. Matt, whilst I'm sorting this out, what have you been up to? Anything interesting? Do you have anything you want to get into?
Well,
before we get into the rumour mill.
I do have this beer that you may not have heard of. It's called Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Do you know what? I've never heard you refer to that before.
Yeah, no, I just didn't have time to get to the liquor store this week to get a proper craft beer, so I've got PBR on standby. Free comic book day
that's cool.
today, Completely not related to video games, but super happy about that. It was fun going to the comic store.
Cheers. Very golden. Very gassy, actually, for a beer. It's more like it's gassy like a lager. And I can't taste any blood orange in it whatsoever.
Well, that's probably
Good.
a good thing, yeah.
Michael, you before we got on streaming said you like fruit beer, so right, rumor mill.
Yeah.
Just give. Honestly, if you like what you like, I like what I like.
No, I know. It's someone once told me it's sort of how where your root family was born that gets to decide your taste in beers. So I don't know, like it was a pretty deep conversation, but apparently like I was my roots are within places where a lot of fruits grow. So, yeah, that's how he explained why I like cider instead of beer.
Okay,
That is pretty deep. I like it.
Yeah. Well, good cider I can appreciate, but fruit beer. Actually, I'm not enjoying that at all now. I've had some more, and it just tastes too kind of that kind of acidic citrus things just cutting through everything. Yeah.
That's how I feel about beer. It's the same. I can't get through that. But yeah, in terms of ciders, I'm really basic. It's as basic as it gets, like an old mouth cider. Yeah, it's nothing special. No interesting illustrations on the bottle, like you guys have on your cans. Yeah.
Well, when you move down to the south coast, you might get some more interesting stuff.
Yeah. I'll definitely check it out.
Right. Thank you very much for being on. Thanks for setting aside the time.
My pleasure.
Do we want to get into the rumor mill?
Yeah, I think we should.
Of course we do. Of course we want to get into the rumor mill. Why did I even ask the question?
Yeah. So as you said, it's crazy what you hear on the streets of Manchester. So apparently Kojima has that's what I've heard, has taken a liking to.
You've got me going already.
Yeah.
Apparently Kojima, I just started laughing.
Has gotten a liking to the development process of Star Citizen and how it takes so long, and how money it's making, that they got talking to each other. And I don't know if you know, but apparently the developer for Star Citizen is Manchester based. It's here in town. So that's I have a few friends. That's how I got to hear this, because they know each other and all. So apparently, you know how Kojima likes all these secrets hidden around in trailers and everything. He wants to hide the release date for Death Stranding in the launch trailer for Star Citizen. Yeah. So we'll as soon as that happens, we'll know when Death Stranding launches.
Yeah, my guess is 2035.
Oh my god, never. It's never gonna happen. Star Citizen is never gonna release a 1.0 version of that game. Chris Roberts is just too happy, just raking in the cash. Like, just let me keep making this game. I'm never gonna release it.
Yeah, it sounds pretty legit to me. I got reliable sources, so yeah.
And you didn't, unlike Mitch, you didn't have to torture anyone to get that information.
No. People here are very friendly. They just they just tell you anything over a pint of whatever, even cider.
Even cider.
Even cider, yeah.
Right, Matt, you got a rumor this week?
Yeah, so we all know that they're changing the CG effects of Sonic in the new Sonic movie, right? Because everybody hates the way that Sonic looks. I've also heard that they've rewritten the script, and they're going to reshoot the entire film. And
They might as well.
and Sonic will actually be a werehog. So that's the rumor that I've heard.
Does that mean the reshoots is coming out at Halloween?
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, whatever. That film is just that is going to be absolute garbage. My rumor is slightly more nefarious than both of yours, and that is that people from Wisconsin are trying to take over the world. It's going to be a long play. They're like the Mysterons from Captain Scarlet. They're trying to infiltrate all aspects of society. Someone from Wisconsin is a teacher in Japan. And another person from Wisconsin lives in Minnesota and works in a people-centric industry. I mean, this is the stuff of nightmares.
How are they going to take over with beer and cheese?
I don't know. That's the whole point, Matthew. It's secret. It's a secret Wisconsinite conspiracy. We'll only know when it's too late.
Here I am drinking a beer from Milwaukee.
Yeah.
It is too late.
You're contributing to it. You don't realize what you're doing. All those Green Bay Packer fans who aren't from Wisconsin, just what are you doing?
All right.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
We'll continue tracking this over the weeks. we're gonna get into the.
We'll ask Evan next week because he said he's available and he can be on next week. But he'll deny everything.
Yeah.
Because of course he will.
Because he's in the conspiracy.
Because he's in the conspiracy.
How can we trust him? I don't know.
We can't. Don't trust anything. Anyone you hear from Wisconsin, don't trust them. Right, have I unveiled my slight psychoses enough now?
Yeah. Now we should get into the psychosis of video games becoming movies and movies becoming video games, I think.
Yeah. Right, Michael, do you want to... This was your topic that you brought up. Do you want to introduce it? And then we'll get going?
Yep. What's wrong with people?
I think that's a far deeper topic than movies and video games.
So in regards to the Sonic movie, I wanted to discuss with you today.
Right, you could have waited until either before or after I'd taken a sip of drink to say that, because I nearly just kind of laughed so hard I spat it over my eyes. So thanks very much.
I'm sorry about that.
No, it's worth it. Right.
Yeah, why is it so complicated to follow the source material and pretty much make a good movie out of an existing IP that's from another medium? We know that the Detective Pikachu is about to come out, and the reviews have been very positive about it.
They've been glowing.
I'm so surprised by that. That blows my mind.
I was intrigued by the very first trailer that I've seen. Is the movie following the plot of the video game on the 3DS?
No, it's totally separate.
Yeah.
They've got a totally different writing team. I don't even think that the only involvement of the Pokemon company is just overseeing it. They haven't been involved with the writing or production or direction or anything. They've just been there as an external advisory capacity.
Because I heard someone randomly saying that if you played that, you'd actually spoil the movie, and they were really serious about it. But I don't know.
They could be right. I mean, I haven't played Detective Pikachu, but from what I've read, it's not following.
I'm sure that will definitely increase the sales of that game. But apparently the movie is really good. I also had my doubts when I've seen the first trailer, but I'm thinking usually with all these movies being adapted from video games, they are mostly origin stories, and origin stories in general don't seem to be doing so well. I think part of the success of the Detective Pikachu is that it has all these well-known characters in a very intriguing circumstance, in a very weird context, because it just makes you curious. Yeah, like, why is this the only Pokemon Pikachu that's talking? Why is his voice Ryan Reynolds?
Why is he addicted to coffee?
Yeah. Like so many questions, because it's so not normal.
I want to be in the pitch room, or I wish that I could have been in the pitch room when they actually, like, somebody was like, "Yes, I'm gonna give you money to make this movie." Like, how did that happen? How could they have possibly have pitched that movie?
I actually want even more to have been in the pitching room when they designed Sonic.
That too, yeah.
When I made the choices for that design, like
with a cast iron frying pan.
Yeah.
What do you think you're doing?
And I may be wrong. I don't know if you also noticed it. I happened to watch the trailer multiple times, because I actually had to show it to different people at a time. Like, you have to see this. You have to see it. You have to see it. And
in a good way or a bad way?
No spoiler for them. I just wanted to get their natural reaction.
Okay.
So I watched it multiple times with different people, and it might be just me, but I got the impression that trailer had different versions of that 3D model character. Because in certain scenes, the eyes are bigger. So it's like we have these three versions. Like, let's test let's test the waters.
I watched the trailer once and then thought how utterly awful it was that I never want to see it again.
I'll be honest, I haven't been following Detective Pikachu or the Sonic movie at all until this topic came up, and then I went and watched the trailer, and I was like, "Holy shit, what the fuck is this?"
The biggest problem I have with the Sonic character is not the eyes. Okay, it's really weird. Like, how, I don't know, anatomically, it's not right to have your eyes interconnected. I don't know how that would work in a realistic way, but I think the thing that is the most wrong is the fact that Sonic has human teeth. It's like it gives you an annoying orange vibe.
Well, I think that the thing that is most wrong about that is that someone greenlit the movie in the first place.
Yes. Exactly. Like, who the fuck was like, "I'm gonna give you X amount of millions of dollars"?
It's not going to be cheap as well. That film's going to be, I don't know, at least $100 million.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's a lot of money to throw away.
Who's financing? Is it Sega?
It's Paramount.
Paramount would have done Sega's involvement? Just giving them the IP?
Yeah, so Sega would have given them the rights to the IP, but Paramount are financing it.
Yeah.
Unless someone's put their own, Tom Cruise has got the deal with Paramount with his own production company, where any of his films only get released via certain times and stuff. But they did a deal with him for like $250 million for X number of films over however many years.
So the budget was $90 million. It's being distributed by Paramount, but it's being produced by Neil Moritz and 3 Japanese people that I don't recognize their names.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So In terms of movie financing, is that a lot of money or?
Not really. Not in terms of kind of major, big budget movies.
No, it's not too bad. Yeah, it's pretty low actually. Maybe that's
Matt,
that's how they fucked it up so bad.
Matt, do a quick Google of Detective Pikachu, so we can do a comparison in terms of budget.
Oh, to see what. Okay, give me 1 second.
And also, do you know what else people shouldn't mess with? Fruit and beer. This is bloody awful. It's like flat lager. Happy now, Mitch? You happy? It's the that's part of it. The Wisconsin invasion.
Yeah, like it's a separate invasion, but we're doing it too.
Ugh. Not enjoying that.
I'm actually not seeing any budget numbers.
Oh, that's because they don't want you to know.
Maybe they'll come out afterwards.
It'll come out after they've made the money back.
When's it out? It's May what?
2 weeks time.
Yeah, relatively soon.
Yeah, in time. Yeah, in time for the. I think it's out for the bank holiday here, the late May bank holiday.
It's
no, it's actually out next Thursday. This Thursday coming, it's out. Right, so that's enough about kind of what's coming out. But what that gave you the thought for the topic. Where do you want to go with it, Michael?
I pretty much want to discuss like what would be the recipe to do justice to such an adaptation and make something all right out of it, because I don't think the idea of a Sonic movie is that crazy. You could pretty much do a good movie, but we don't really know anything about the plot. I'm actually interested to see that movie for Dr. Robotnik. I think
Jim Carrey.
For Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey playing Jim Carrey as Jim Carrey.
I think that at least to me looked interesting.
A Jim Carrey film.
Yeah, but as far as the main character, I'm not interested in him at all. It looks quite generic, the intro and everything. So yeah, like besides this point, we don't really know a lot about the plot, but yeah, it's like the reveal for Detective Pikachu was intriguing, because from the get-go you had like all these crazy things about the character. But yeah, we have examples with other video game IPs that simply do not do well. Like the most recent example would be the Lara Croft movie, which
I wouldn't say that was bad. I'd say that was just a kind of a poor. It was like a Lara Croft light. Does that kind of make sense?
I don't know how they screwed up the new one so bad, because in terms of video game movies or movies that have been adapted from video games, some of the best examples and the best movies that have been made are the two that Angelina Jolie did, I think, personally. Like, those I can actually sit down and watch and enjoy and not be too bothered by the premise or any of that kind of stuff.
Well, it's kind of that big dumb fun thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when you suggested this as a topic, I was racking my brains for kind of what video game movies have people tried and then failed and then tried again. And the only ones that I can think of where someone's kind of tried, failed, and then tried again were Hitman and Mortal Kombat. So have either of you seen the Hitman films?
No.
I saw the one with.
They're bloody awful.
I saw the one with Timothy Olyphant, I think.
Yeah.
2006, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
That one, it wasn't bad. It was okay. I mean, it
it was kind of meh. But again, it's kind of when you're adapting a kind of silent killer without any nuance, because you as the player provide the nuance. So you're taking that ability away from someone and then trying to reimpose it on them. And you're trying to humanize Agent 47, but you as the player humanize him by playing through the game and the plot unfolding. So by them trying to put a layer of nuance to him, it kind of detracts from what he is.
That's a great point. The interactive element that's missing from the movies, and you like with some adaptations it works to not have that, but then with others it doesn't. Yeah, as you've said about the early Tomb Raider movies, the first games didn't have that much interaction in them. So when you've seen the movies in the PlayStation 1 era, those were like the movie was expanding so much on what Lara Croft was. See, and the same for Mortal Kombat. So I think like if we could try to make a comparison, would you agree to the fact that movies made after video games, I don't know, like a decade ago, seemed more fun than they do now because games are so much more
You mean in terms of the fact that there wasn't such a heavy story element to the games themselves, so it was easier to adapt?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like the second Mortal Kombat movie, Annihilation, is god awful, and the first one's not that good. I mean, it's entertaining, but it's not.
I don't really recall which of these two I've seen.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
They're both pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah. And from what I remember, they're not 18 rated either. They're 15s. So what would that be for you in the States, Matt? R. So they're not rated M. They're not 18 movies. So they haven't got all the kind of blood and gore that you could probably want to put in.
PG-13, I think, is what we have.
No, they'd be a higher rating than that here. So yeah,
we've got PG, PG-13, and R basically.
So there'd be an R.
Okay.
Well, they would have been. They've probably gotten dumbed down over the years as society has been ruined by video games. I'm
trying to look at this from the perspective of those who write these movies, because I don't think they intentionally do a bad job or that.
No one really sets out to do a shit job unless you're called Yui Bob.
So I'm like maybe it's just the fact that they want to appeal to a broader audience. They fear that if they've done something like that targets an adult audience. For instance, it doesn't seem like the Sonic the Sonic movie tries to do that. It sort of targets the kids in a way.
Yeah, it's one of the ones about this is when you suggested the topic, the first thing that sprung to my mind about someone who's tried to do a really good job and for whatever reason they face planted hard. And I mean, they've needed surgery to reconstruct their face from the face plant that they got. World of Warcraft.
Oh yeah, I didn't even watch that. I heard that it was decent though.
But the game is this kind of lightning in a bottle zeitgeist moment in terms of gaming culture. But the film...
Well, the movie came so far after, too.
Yeah. But they really, from what I read and the reviews that I saw and read, is that they really tried to do justice to the source material and the story and the wider lore. And for whatever reason, it was just car crash.
Yeah, it just didn't translate well.
Yeah. And whether that's because there isn't enough people who can make that jump from the millions of people liking the game to the tens of millions of people who need to go and watch a, blockbuster budget movie. because it's free now, and I saw it on I saw it on Netflix, and I added it to my list, and never watched it.
I don't think that I've thought about that movie until just now.
Yeah,
Since it came out.
yeah. And that's the thing. It's like who for some of this, it's like, who are you pitching this to?
Yeah, it sounds like it's being pitched to a total different audience.
Yeah. What was
it's the main reaction of when this movie was announced was like, who asked for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, who wanted this?
I feel like that's the response for most video game movies, though.
Yeah.
Who does want these?
Yeah. If they don't have, like, it's the first impression that counts. Like,
yeah.
If the first trailer isn't like at the very least, it can become like this pop cultural thing where a lot of memes born out of it, and yeah, so a friend of mine was suggesting that that's the marketing campaign strategy for the Sonic movie. They're actually intentionally.
They want everyone to hate it.
Yeah. They want everyone to hate it so that they make memes out of it, and then they won't have to spend any money on the marketing campaign because
that's
everyone
a terrible marketing strategy.
Yeah. Somebody got fired over that plan.
Yeah.
Hopefully your friend who came up with that idea isn't in marketing.
It's like they are making this movie to look as so intriguingly bad that people will actually want to go see it. Like
no, that doesn't work.
Like
I'm inclined to bootleg it, but
like what The Room is nowadays.
No, that doesn't work. Yeah, you can.
It works for me. I want to see it. I have to see it. I don't know. Like,
I'm not giving someone my money to go and watch that at a cinema.
Yeah.
No chance. Just trying to think about where people just totally missed the point, but wanted to latch on to an IP. Super Mario Brothers. That film, quite possibly one of the worst films of all time.
It's
like
so
Matt
bad.
and Shane were talking about on Sifted on Game Face. Why would you even do it?
It's so bad. It's good though.
I didn't watch it, but I've seen like tons of screenshots from that, and like, why would you ever do that to those characters?
I don't know.
Did it do well?
No, it did horrible.
No, it didn't. It bombed.
Yeah. Who made it?
That's a good question.
No, it's not. The response to that is, who cares? It's old. It's shit.
Well,
whoever made that movie are they still around?
So are they still making movies?
Yeah.
Are they involved with the Sonic the Hedgehog movie? Is that's the next logical step.
They took all these years to get the money to make another movie.
Right. Sorry for appearing to drink that pretty quickly, but it was awful, and I didn't want to just throw it away.
You needed that after this discussion.
Ugh. God. Right. Right. So, Blood Orange IPA. No, thank you.
Oh, I didn't know it was an IPA too.
Yeah.
I missed that.
But Matt.
Oh, new black lager. Nice.
So something I might actually like for the last half of the show.
That'll work.
Yeah. So I guess if you'd like, we could talk about the other facet of this thing, and that would be video game adaptations of movies.
Yes.
And that's another conversation. And again, like, not so many positive examples.
No, they seem to do just as bad converting movies to video games. When you brought this up in Discord, though, I was like, I have the perfect game, and that is Cliffhanger. Has anybody seen the
Ooh.
movie with Sylvester Stallone?
Yeah, it's a pile of garbage.
Yeah, and so is the game.
Uh,
It's a Super
no,
Nintendo, Sega Genesis. I think it came out on
no,
the
I don't
Sega
know it.
CD. It's a side-scrolling platformer. It is balls hard.
And they didn't lie.
Yeah, it is New Black. But yeah, so
Um,
that's my obscure retro game reference for the week.
one, oh Christ, I've forgotten the name. God. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll remember what I'm talking about. It's been a game and the film was in the film.
All right, so Michael, what about you? What comes
Uh,
to mind when you think about movies that have been translated to video games?
well, first of all, like there are a ton like in the NES, SNES era, like you mostly NES, like everyone was doing like, oh, I don't know, maybe half or more of the games were licensed after movies.
Right.
It was insane. Like everyone was getting in on that. Let's make a movie. Let's make a movie. And then you also had that with the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2, where you've got again a lot of 3D platformers, where basically whatever was left out of the movie, of the budget for the movie, it would like, okay, let's make a game
Yeah.
out of that. So I think that was part of the problem, because it wasn't a dedicated game development process. It was like the game was done with the leftovers from producing the movie.
Right.
Like they were like, we have this budget and we want with all of it to make these two things.
Yeah, I think today you don't really see that too much because, well, at least we don't see it that much because we don't play mobile games, right? I mean, a lot of this is just shovelware on mobile because it's like, whatever, somebody might spend $5 on this, you know.
Yeah. Now you don't have console movie video game adaptations anymore. Everything has been transferred to the mobile gaming scene, because it's also easier to monetize whatever game you're making with whatever IP. You make a free to play game. You like make a tapper or a clicker or whatever, and then that's runner, and there it goes. But yeah, in terms of those, I think the last ones that we've seen that were, as far as I'm concerned, at least as far as I can remember, the Harry Potter ones. Not that those were good or anything, but I think that like the one done for the last.
It was PS3,
for the
Xbox 360.
Yeah. That's
There's one that you've forgotten. Green Lantern.
Oh.
The game has got better reviews than the film.
Oh.
What is that, like in the 60s?
Yeah. The what I was thinking of was Max Payne.
Oh, okay.
So there was there was the two Max Payne games, which were critical successes, commercial successes, and then we got a 2008 film with Mark Wahlberg, which
I forgot about
which
that.
had pretty much nothing related.
I had no clue they made a movie.
Yeah, and but apparently the plot isn't as straightforward as the game, so it's kind of a revenge thing. You get some kind of mystical powers or some shit that means he can shoot in slow-mo rather than just hitting the space. I don't know how much of that was in there because I've never watched it, because it's got a whopping 16% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh my god. And it's got Marky Mark. Yeah. It should have immediately gotten a 20% bump just based on that.
The best video game adaptation of a movie IP that I can think of, I think are the Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War.
Yeah.
Not that those are following the plot of any of the movies, which I think this is why it has a better success than if it would have followed the plot.
Yeah,
It's just a side thing.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah, looking at the side thing, you're looking at Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. Like those are their own thing.
Right.
Yeah, you take the lore and you do something different with it that tells your own story.
Yeah.
Guess what I finished playing today?
Star Wars Battlefront 2.
You get a gold star, Matthew. And the
Sorry, I don't know where that came from.
What they've done with that story, it's just so banal. I'm trying to think of a better phrase. There's a couple of moments of levity and actual interest in that, but pretty much the whole of the story that they're trying to play through that game. Sorry. The whole of what they're trying to play through that story in that microtransaction loot box fest is here's how to play the microtransaction loot box fest bit. It's not actually helping tell the story. It's thoroughly disappointing. So there is a continuous linear narrative that has some subtlety and nuance, but when you come to a certain section, is you need to pick up this thing. This rifle does this. If you were playing this in multiplayer, you can use it like this. Fuck off. Yeah.
So it's more of an introduction to the online counterpart. How long is it?
Exactly.
How long is the single player campaign?
Well, interesting question. Because there's two parts to it. When it launched, it only had the first part, but it seems like there's actually 3 parts, but they've only done 2. So they tell it's not. This is the thing about having a long tail to the game and recurrent user spending. Where did I get that from? So when it first launched, you could easily sit down in a long afternoon and finish the first part of the campaign.
Okay.
If you had an entire day, you could easily do both sections. And it's set up for a third one, but that must be coming in line with the reigniting Skywalker's ashes, or whatever the hell the next movie's called.
Is it following the events of the movies, or is it?
It's in between.
Okay, so it makes reference to the movies and it goes back and forth.
Yeah.
Do you think? Sorry.
No, you go for it.
Okay. Do you think this the way they've done it falls in the template that the Call of Duty games have been up to this point, with like a 6 hours campaign and then everything's about multiplayer?
Pretty much, yeah.
They try to do something similar.
Yeah, it seems like poor fan service, if I'm honest. Because you think because the counter question that you asked to this topic is, if you could do something, what would you do? So, do you know what? There's a movie franchise out there that makes a shit ton of money that's about galactic battles and good versus evil, and there's nuance in that. It's like, do we really understand who's good and who's evil? You think you might be able to make a game or two in there.
Unfortunately.
But they've literally... No. Yeah. No. not with EA at the helm. It is. I'm just thoroughly disappointed with it, and that's the feeling that I've come away from playing that game, loving the Star Wars franchise and loving some of the original games that came from that franchise.
The one thing that I will say, I think, at least in terms of video games, the most successful stuff is, even though you hated Battlefront 2 and it didn't really live up to your expectations, the most successful stuff is the stuff that's based on larger franchises and isn't just like one movie.
Right. Whilst we're on the topic, Matthew, be quiet. Michael, Solo, quite possibly the worst Star Wars movie ever made, or Rogue One.
I didn't watch Solo. I watched Rogue One, and I've read about Solo a bit. I think I would prefer Rogue One.
Yes, thank you very much.
And yeah, because the main problem that I've heard about Solo was that
it was made.
You're expecting all these origin things to be unveiled, like where did the character get his name, and like Matt said, I think Matt Kyle said it on Game Face, like just someone gave it, like it's
where did he get his gun? Someone gave it to him.
Someone gave it.
Where did he get his name? Someone gave it to him.
That's the general
consensus.
consensus.
Millennium Falcon. Someone gave it to him.
When I heard about that movie, I was like, okay, that could be an interesting movie to learn a lot more about this character. But everything like is such a poor excuse for all these elements that create this character. So random. So like it's lazy writing. Sounds like lazy writing. Whereas with Rogue One, I actually felt bad for the realizing that was it for the characters. Like they're not
do you know
going
how
to
I felt
return
bad
to
for
those.
watching Rogue One?
What were your problems with Rogue One?
I went watching Rogue One, which I enjoyed. Okay, the first 45 minutes are really slow, but I felt really bad for Kyle Katarn.
Because he got left out.
Yeah, because Disney took all of the expanded universe and napalmed that shit.
Yeah.
So he doesn't actually exist anymore. Right. So we've talked about Star Wars. We haven't talked about Star Trek, although one per list. Let's start doing that. We have to get a mention in for a video game franchise that could be not necessarily turned into a movie, but maybe a TV show.
What do you mean?
The Yakuza franchise.
Oh, all right, okay.
That would work. I could see that.
Does anyone not think that would make at least interesting TV show?
I know at least one person that would probably watch it.
He's putting his money down now. He's already trying to wear it. Where can I stream this? But in all honesty, whilst I'm not a fan of the franchise for various different reasons, I do think that series could be a good vehicle for a shift in terms of from games to another medium.
I think it would. Well, sorry. Go ahead, Michael.
No.
Well, I was going to say, I think that it could do really well in the States because it's
Japan.
Well, no, I think it could do really well in the States because there's nothing really like. If you were to do a full movie, or even if you were to do like a TV series out of it, there's not really anything on television right now that talks about the Japanese mafia or the Yakuza. Right, that would be an interesting story for people to get into, I think.
Yeah.
So we keep talking over you. Go for it. I'm going to talk shit.
Yeah, I'll try to be short in this. I have a friend who I've been trying to get to watch certain TV shows, and he's like, no, like I only watch movies because if a movie isn't capable of condensing all its messaging in 3 hours, and then it's not worth my. I don't know. Like I find this to be totally wrong. So I would rather like we could look at this. We could look at this like some movies don't work as movies, and they would rather be TV shows, as well as some TV shows could not be made into movies. So you have like, I think you basically have this triangle with games and movies and TV shows, where if a video game doesn't do well as a TV show, you could actually as a movie you could actually turn it into a TV show, or the other way around with all the other elements. So yeah, that's another thing one could look into, because what was it? No, go on. I forgot. What I was trying to say. But yeah, like definitely, like maybe the Yakuza games wouldn't do well as a movie, but may do just fine as a TV show. You know.
Yeah, because you'd think you'd have to get some of the wackier stuff in there.
Yeah.
Like when I was thinking about it, you could get scenes in there that, like they used to do. Not that I've actually watched the TV show. I've watched snippets of it, of people talking about it. But Glee, where they do the big musical numbers.
Yeah, I know.
And suddenly they're not on a stage in a school anymore. They're at a massive theatre, and they're wearing sequins and suits and stuff. So you could do that kind of things with the Yakuza game. Someone's doing the karaoke, and then like in the game, they turn into this kind of leather-clad rock god, but they're actually in just some seedy bar in Kabukicho.
Okay.
Yeah, because with this in mind, because you're having these two aspects of the franchise. One that it's wacky at times, and the other one that it's that serious at other times. So if you were to make a movie and you tried to have the movie include both these things, you could ruin it. Yeah. Because you have to have like equal quantities of both to get that feeling. Whereas if you had like, if it was a TV show and you'd just pepper these wacky moments but keep it serious at times, you could safely deliver this atmosphere of the game, this impression that the game gives you. At times it also lets itself to be wacky. Yeah.
I know that's enough kind of appeasing, Evan. The Yakuza games are shit.
Did you want to get into the Star Wars or the Star Trek games at all?
We can talk about Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why aren't there any good ones?
I don't know. There's a couple. Star Trek Online's not too bad.
Do you know what? I started playing it, and I thought the premise of this sounds really good until I started playing it.
Well, the mechanics are horrible. The writing is decent, though.
Oh, God, it's awful.
Yeah.
If that game had kind of even kind of double A, if we're talking about batteries, so if it was double A rather than triple A.
The ship combat is amazing. That works really well. But it's every time you have to do an away mission, and it's the third person shooting, that's just awful. It was terrible. To get through. It's just
But Michael, you may know Matt and I love some Trek.
I can see that.
Yeah. But if we're going to go way out there and kind of things that we'd love to see adapted into games, Babylon 5.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good game. It'd have to be an RPG, I would think.
Oh yeah. Mike was probably looking at us thinking, "What?"
Yeah.
Is he googling Babylon 5 right now?
Yeah. No.
1996, I think it was.
Okay.
It is, in all honesty, my favorite sci-fi show.
I know a lot of people
and-
feel that way too. After they watch
Yeah.
Babylon 5, they're just like, oh, that's it, you know.
Yeah.
I was 2
And-
years old in 96.
Well, someone's got to be.
How does everybody
there's-
feel about The Witcher becoming a TV series?
What's becoming a TV series? Your mic kind of dropped out.
The Witcher.
Oh, they are making that.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's in production.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm
Yeah.
curious about that.
I think I'll watch it because it's going to be on Netflix. I already have it, you know.
yeah, I'll watch it. Henry Cavill seems happier about doing it than he did Justice League.
Yeah.
So
He
he even shaved his moustache off.
Right.
He seems really committed. The reveal of the character wasn't. I don't think they did. It was okay to reveal the character like that because it wasn't like the. It wasn't the complete look, because basically when he's filming, there's much more makeup and like more details to his costume and everything, and that was very misleading for a lot of fans.
Yeah,
There's certain backlash.
Again, it's one of those things. You only get one chance to make a first impression.
Yeah,
And to me, that as much as I wouldn't say I'm a massive fan of the Witcher franchise, having tried to play 2 and didn't get into it, and thought 3 is kind of, do I really want to play this for 100 somewhat hours?
Right.
But knowing what I do about the franchise, was that showing the best way to do it?
What do you mean? Is it showing the best way to do it?
Well, him kind of coming from a black background into the light and showing off his white hair and kind of giving a bit of a wry grin and then walking backwards again.
that looked like an average cosplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
because
And
who's going to read the description of that post? You know,
They're not. They're just going to see the image, see the 4-second video or however long it was, and think that's
and keep
hashtag
scrolling.
not my Geralt.
Yeah.
Depending on how they do the cinematography, though, it might actually, they could pull it off.
Yeah. The thing for me when I first saw it was he's not grimy enough.
Well, all right. So you played 2. You didn't play the first one.
No.
So if they're starting from the first game, or like towards the end of the first game and the beginning of the second game, he doesn't have the gruff appearance.
Well, it's not gruff, but he's meant to be a witcher. He's meant to be fighting monsters. He hasn't got perfectly combed silver hair.
I don't know. In the second game, in the beginning,
Unless he's just come out of the bathhouse, which we're not. Again, this is the thing. We're putting our own presumptions onto something that someone else is showing us, and in a reveal, we shouldn't have to do that. In the same way that you shouldn't have to go back and say post reveal what you actually meant by microtransactions in Borderlands 3. They're either in or they're not.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm sitting with that. You either come out and say, this is our initial look for Geralt, who's just come out of a bath after some wenches of topless wenches have combed his hair after him giving them some gold to do so. He also had a very clean shave, and they polished his armor. But
he looked too clean. He had a very clean appearance, and as you said, like when the best thing was for, like, in an ideal case, for people to go like, of course he looks like that, whereas people were like, this doesn't look like the final thing. It's like, or we hope it isn't.
Yeah.
Right.
It would have been better in that sense if he'd come out looking like he'd just been in a fight with a harpy or something.
Okay, but not quite as bad as Sonic.
No.
I love the pause. No.
I mean, I'm trying to blot that image of Sonic from my mind. I'm not sure it will ever leave, but I'm trying.
No, you're scarred for life. You're gonna have repressed memories come back 30 years from now.
Other than that, have we got any? Because you think of the amount of kind of macho military style movies that are out there. Why hasn't there been a Call of Duty movie?
Because Call of Duty is basically every action movie ever. Like,
I'm sure I've heard they're making one. Aren't they? Or
maybe I haven't heard of
yeah,
one.
but I'm just they may be making one. I'm just confused as to why there hasn't been one already. Because that formula with the type of storytelling that they do and the type of stories that they tell through those games, it could quite easily translate into an hour and 45 of movie.
Yeah, and well, I don't know. Like my dad loves those games, and he's all about Captain Price. Like that was one of his favorite characters of all time in a video game, and he loved the Modern Warfare series of games. You know, the first 3. So they could. I mean, they could adapt that. It could work. It'd be better than trying to adapt World of Warcraft. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Just a day ago, I've googled it up. There's an article saying that Activision claims that details for this year's. Actually, no. Never mind me. I think that was the game, not the movie. But no, like no.
Never mind that. Scratch that.
Scratch that. No. Actually, last year, last year they said something about the movie. It was a tease, so it's coming. So something's coming. There's a Call of Duty movie in the works. So yeah, we'll see what happens then when we get our first trailer.
Well, there's 2 things that I'd like to mention on kind of a positive note. That started as movies that then turned into games. GoldenEye? Anyone remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a fabulous game. And roughly followed the same route as the film. And then the other one was the Ghostbusters the video game.
I haven't played that. I would say though that the majority of the James Bond movies or James Bond games are actually pretty good from GoldenEye forward. So you had like Tomorrow Never Dies on PS1 or PS2, Nightfire.
Those things are bloody awful.
I think they're fun.
Well,
they're decent.
You
games.
also think Solo is a better Star Wars film.
Well, on that note, we have been streaming for an hour. Should we close there?
What? And you being wrong?
I'm fine with it.
I'm wrong. Let's shut this shit down. That's the streaming equivalent of I'm taking my ball and going home.
Yeah, I'm Cartmaning this moment right now.
Well, at least you can't Rochambeau me.
All right, any final thoughts, guys?
Don't put human mouse to your CGI hedgehogs. Yeah, don't do that.
It's a fair
Don't
point.
do that.
It's a fair point to
Don't do
make.
that. Don't do that.
Don't do that in your movies.
All right, and on that note, the Beerumverate is done.